This is Myra Elaine on the Buying Space channel. Today I'm reading from the Torah, and I'm in Leviticus chapter 14. And we've learned more about leprosy than we want to know, but it's a good lesson. Leprosy is synonymous to sin, and this is how to get the sin out of your life. And they associated also leprosy with mold, bacteria, and other things in your environment that were bad. So we're going to go ahead and start reading in Leviticus chapter 14, verse 33. And the Lord spake unto Moses and unto Aaron, saying, When ye come into the land of Canaan, which I give unto you for a possession, I put a plague of leprosy on a house of the land of your possession. Then shall he that owneth the house come and tell the priest, saying, Something like a leprosy hath shown itself to me in the house. And the priest shall command that they clear out the house before the priests go in to see the plague, that all be, this is a Torah, so you turn the pages this way. This is the Hebrew on this side. This is English translated directly from the Hebrew over here. Let me make that sentence smoother. And the priest shall command that they clear out the house before the priests go into it to see the plague, and all that be not made unclean that is in the house. And after this shall the priest go in to see the house, and he shall view the plague. And behold, if the plague be on the walls of the house, with hollow strokes, greenish or reddish, and their appearance be deeper than the wall, then shall the priest go out of the house to the door of the house and lock up the house 7 days. And the priest shall come again on the 7th day, and if he see that, and behold, the plague have spread in the walls of the house, then shall the priest command they break out the stones in which the plague is, and they shall cast them forth without the city on an unclean place. And the house shall cause to be scraped with round about, and they shall pour out the rubbish that they have scraped off without the city on the unclean place. And they shall take other stones and put them into the place of these stones, and other mortar shall he take, and shall plaster the house. And if the plague come again and break out in the house, after he hath taken away the stones, and after the house hath been scraped, and after it had been plastered, then shall the priest come, and if he see that, behold, the plague have spread in the house again, or was never eradicated to start with, it is a corrosive leprosy in the house, it is unclean. And he shall break down the house, its stones, and the timbers thereof, and all the mortar of the house, and he shall carry them forth to without the city unto the unclean place. So the entire house has to go. It's an unclean living space. It will harm the people living within. And he shall goeth into the house all the days that it is locked up, and shall be unclean until the evening. And he lieth in the house shall wash his clothes, and he shall eateth in the house shall wash his clothes. So if you've been in the house, you're going to wash up and get any of that contamination off your clothes, off your skin. But if the priest should come in and see, behold, the plague hath not spread in the house, after the house was plastered, then shall the priest pronounce the house clean, because the plague is healed. And he shall take to cleanse the house 2 birds and cedar wood. Cedar wood is a very hard wood. It's not very porous. I'll talk a little bit more about that in a moment. And string of scarlet yarn and hyssop. And he shall kill 1 bird in the earthen vessel over the running water. And he shall take the cedar wood and the hyssop and the scarlet yarn and the living bird, and dip them in the blood of the slain bird, and shall in the running water sprinkle on the house 7 times. So the same procedure when a person with leprosy is coming back to be clean. They take the cedar wood, the ribbon, the hyssop, and the dove, and they sacrifice 1 dove and put it in the vessel and dip the other bird in that and shake it 7 times. Just like they do during Sukkot. They have different elements, but they shake them 7 times in their ceremony. And he shall cleanse the house with the blood of the bird, and with the running water, and with the living bird, and with the cedar wood, and with the hyssop, and with the string of scarlet yarn. Now the hyssop, scarlet yarn is red and represents sacrifice, but hyssop is an herb that actually I'm taking the supplement of hyssop right now, and it helps with your digestion, and it helps with your breathing, with your lungs. And he shall let go the living bird out of the city unto an open field, and make an atonement for the house, and it shall be clean. So the scapegoat or the scape bird is set free. They are free of their sins. And this is the law for a manner of plague of leprosy and scall, and for leprosy of a garment and of a house, and for a swelling, and for a scall, and for a bright spot, to teach when something is unclean, and when it is clean, it is the law of leprosy. So when we look at what is being used, the cedar wood, God understood about microorganisms. God understood that the cedar wood would be more likely to remain clean. During Passover, or the Feast of Unleavened Bread, they didn't call it Passover during these times. They called it the Feast of the Unleavened Bread. And what they would do is they would get all the yeast out. And yeast is symbolic for sin. And they would get the yeast out. And bakers in Williamstown this year during Passover were having sales, and Jewish bakers getting rid of all the bread with the leaven in it. And they have these huge sales, and sometimes they'll burn the bread and the cakes and all of that if they can't sell it that have yeast in it, to get rid of it, because they have to be purified of not having the yeast in their households, in the community. So sometimes people will save their palms from their elements from Sukkot and use that to burn whatever has leaven in it in their household, in their kitchens, and to get it out. So to use the palms. We today as Christians, that the ones of us that celebrate Ash Wednesday, burn palms to get the ash that's put on our forehead for Ash Wednesday. I'll go over that on Ash Wednesday again. But things are porous, and God had the wisdom to know that if you got a bowl that was contaminated, you broke the whole bowl, you got rid of it, and you didn't even leave it in the trash outside your house. You took it outside of town and separated it so it wouldn't affect anything else. But cedar wood is a hardwood. This is a metal. This plate here on the bottom is copper. It's metal. It's not as porous. Glass is in between wood and metal, and it's porous. And plastic is more porous. And I have a family member that has celiac disease. And if you ever hear about somebody has celiac disease, they can't have gluten. And even a small amount, I mean, we're talking microscopic amount of gluten can harm someone with celiac disease. This whole gluten-free stuff is real and it's serious. So when my family member was diagnosed with celiac disease, I had to get rid of my plastic. I don't have really anything plastic around me right now. But plastic is more porous. Put it in the microwave, the elements in the food are absorbed, into the plastic. I had some stainless steel bowls. I washed them really well, but because they were so hard, like, cedar wood is hard, they were less of a risk for my family member to get a cross contamination of gluten from them. But the plastic had to go. The Tupperware had to go. And so it was an experiment in replacing all the dishes and everything, the silverware. It would just went on and on what needed to be done to have a gluten-free kitchen. And I kept a gluten-free kitchen up until we moved here. And when we moved in here, another family member lived here. And so we had to share the kitchen with somebody that had different kinds of special needs. And so we've not gone back to having a completely gluten-free kitchen here. But I'm going to tell you that everything has pores and absorbs what's in its environment. And if you get something like a contamination, like a mold, and you clean, and you clean, and you clean, I mean, they did the same timetable for the house, for the clothes, for whatever was infected as they did for the leper. The 7 days, the 7 days, the 7 days. And to cleanse whatever was going on. And if it couldn't be cleansed, it had to be removed. And sins like that. Sometimes things spoil. Houses get mold. People get bad attitudes. Groups turn on you. And when a situation goes south or sour or gets moldy, sometimes you have to move on from it. Sometimes you'll say, okay, things are a little weird right now. I'll just sit back and wait. And then I'll give it some time and I'll see if attitudes change or if the cleansing of this item made it better, or if I need to throw that away, or if I need to move on. You don't really like to move on from people. You like to try to work things out. But after a while, after several phases of, oh, this is just getting worse. And sometimes that things happen and people are forgiving and you're able to hang out and be okay and everybody's forgiven and forgotten and everything's okay. But sometimes things remain rotten. And sometimes you have to move on. And not only from groups, sometimes activities, sometimes hobbies, sometimes, God has just shut that door for you. And you need to move on to something else. And it happens. Life is not easy. You have to make some difficult decisions sometimes. And yes, those decisions affect those around you. But you can't stay in a state of sourness or rottenness. You can't live in an environment full of mold, whether that mold is the physical mold that we're inhaling, or whether that mold and rottenness is a relationship. Sometimes you have to move on. Try to be loving, try to be forgiving, but sometimes the same thing happens over and over. It's like that person that walks down the same street every day, and there's a hole in the road. And every time they walk down that street, they fall in that hole. And after a couple times, they're like, oh, I got to avoid that hole. So they try to go a different way, but they still fall in the hole. And after a dozen times or half a dozen times of doing that, you finally get the idea, hey, I'm on the wrong street. This isn't for me. If I want to stay safe, I need to take another street. Or maybe even I need to be in another town. Or I don't need to be walking west or whatever direction you're walking. Maybe I need to walk east. It happens. So get the rottenness out of your life. Test the waters. Try to repair. Try to plaster. But if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. And the house has to go. The pot has to go. The Rubbermaid has to go. If we're talking about gluten. But anyway, you all, I've given you a lot to think about. I want you to think about it. And I'd love some genuine comments. Positive, genuine comments. And you all have a wonderful and blessed day.